young life? Because you've experienced it a little bit. Young life is hard to describe, but it's much better and easier to experience. Young life is in some ways a party with a purpose. Young life, we believe in being with a group of people that want to figure out life together, that want to figure out how to get the most out of college, how to get the most out of life. It's all about relationships. It's about fun, adventure. We want to set you up so that your college is the beginning of what is a lifetime of rich stuff for you. So that's, in a nutshell, what young life is. Hey, tonight I want to share a couple of stories with you. The first question I have for you, though, is what do you want? A lot of you are, how many of you are freshmen? First year here at WSU, a good chunk of you.
Woo!
Awesome. Hey, I don't know what your background is. I don't know what your experience has been. I don't know if you have gone to church, if you were involved in young life, had none of that experience. I don't need to know that necessarily. I can look at this room. In fact, I would guess out of 20,000+ people on this campus, that virtually everybody is looking for the same thing. It may play itself out differently, but everybody's looking for, hey, I would like to have a lot of fun. I would like to have full life. I would like to have rich, meaningful relationships. That'd be awesome. And yeah, college, I would like to discover what my passion in life should be about. I want to get the most out of life. That would be the question everybody probably asks, but the question is, how do we do that? What's going to get that for us? So I want to tell you a couple stories. One is a personal story. I was some people would say I was a destructive child. I would call it, I was a curious child when I was young. I would always kind of get into things, try to figure things out, and cost my parents a lot of money. And one of those adventures, I was probably 5 years old, and I would notice as Dad would drive around that every once in a while when we're with him, he would stop at this gas station. This is a few years ago, so we didn't pump our own gas. Somebody came and filled your car up and wiped your windshield, checked your oil, all that kind of stuff. And then at the end, my dad would hand him a bunch of cash and he'd take off. That was it. And I noticed, that seems easy. There's a hose, there's some liquid that goes into the car, and he pays this guy a lot of money. I could save my dad some money, I'm thinking as a 5-year-old kid. So one Saturday morning, I thought I'd do my dad a favor, because we had a hose at our house. We had liquid that could fill the car. So I did. I filled my dad's car up on Saturday morning. And I couldn't wait for Dad to discover how much money I saved him and to thank me for doing what I did. So sure enough, a couple hours later, I'm milling around the yard and Dad comes out. I'm the youngest of 3 boys, so that was kind of on the tail end of a lot of that. But I love going driving with Dad. So this was Saturday morning. Hey, I'm going to the store. Anybody want to go? Yeah, absolutely. I can't wait to tell Dad what I've done. So I hop in the car and cranks it up. Gets about halfway out of the driveway and and he gets out into the street and it completely dies. I mean, and I kid you not, this is my dad. Gary, he knew I had something to do. I just broke. I'm sorry. Tried to explain what I was doing. He had to replace the engine, costume, whatever it is to replace an engine. It was bad. But to a 5-year-old, I had most of it right. I had a hose, I had liquid, I had a car, I filled it up. Everything was good except major problem, the car only runs on gas. And you just can't substitute for it. To a 5-year-old, you can kind of get away with that. When I'm 10, 12, 14, you're all thinking, I hope he got smarter as he got older. I haven't done that. But I wonder if we do the same things with our life. Because just like a car is designed, a car is created to run on gasoline or diesel or whatever it's designed to do. And you've got to put that into the engine if the car is going to run right. Anything less than that or a bad mix, at the least it won't run well, and at the worst, it will seize up and die. I would propose to you that we do the same thing with our lives. I want to give you a picture, an analogy, if you will, that we are created, we are designed to run on certain fuel. And we talk about all the things you want. That's kind of the way your car was designed. Your life was designed to get all of what you really want. But it depends on putting the right fuel in the tank. And here you are coming to college thinking, what am I going to put in my tank to make this all of what I want it to be? And this room will probably try a lot of different things. Some of them good. I mean, you can put good things, accessories for your car, but there's only certain things you can put in the engine. Well, I have another story. This is a story that is told about Jesus. Jesus was what? Wow. Yeah. Very smooth, very smooth. Okay. Hey, I'll give you a little background first for this story. But Jesus is hanging out with his good buddies, and they're on a little walking tour, a little trip, and they have to go kind of a ways away from Jerusalem, several miles. But the story goes that Jesus says they had to go through Samaria. Well, I don't know anything about Samaria, but Samaria is this area north of Jerusalem that Samaritans lived. And Samaritans were kind of the despised, the outcasts. They were kind of the half Jews, half Gentiles. They weren't accepted by either other Gentiles, and they weren't accepted by Jews. So people avoided that area. So I think it's interesting, just to give you a taste for what Jesus is like. He said he had to go through Samaria. He didn't have to, in the sense that he had no choice. He had to, in the sense that I'm going to go through Samaria because I've got something to do there. So he goes into this area, and he goes and sits down by a well, and he sends his buddies off to town because he's got an appointment that they knew nothing about. So he sits at this well, and the story says that about noon, this woman comes out by herself to the well, which tells you something right there. Because in that culture, women would always go to the well in the morning together, kind of a social thing. You'd get your water for the day, catch up on the local news, and you'd walk back and all your friends. So this woman's coming by herself at noon. So that tells you something. She's an outcast in an outcast area. But Jesus wanted to meet her. Jesus wanted to talk with her. So he sits down by the well. She comes up, and he says to her, "Can you give me a drink?" Which, at first thought from our culture, is kind of like demanding something from this woman. But really, in that culture, to ask somebody to have a drink or to give me some water was really an invitation to relationship. It's really, you have a meal with somebody in that culture, it's like we're good friends. You don't just lightly say, "Hey, will you give me a drink?" He's really inviting her into a relationship. And it says this. Then she responds and says, "How can it be that you, a Jewish man, ask me, a Samaritan woman, for a drink?" Because Jews would never even talk to a Samaritan. Men are not supposed to talk to women. So Jesus breaks both of those barriers and asks her for a drink. Anyway, then he says, Jesus answered her, "If you knew the gift of God and who it is that asked you for a drink, you would have asked him, and he would give you living water." "Sir," the woman said, "you have nothing to draw with, and the well is very deep. Where can you get this living water?" First of all, we have a little definition issue here. Living water, she's kind of figured out what's he talking about, living water. In that culture, they're in a desert area. So living water kind of referred to water that's running. It would be a river. Or here she's at a well. The only water that's living water, moving water, would be at the very bottom, maybe a river or a spring that's going at the bottom of a well. So she's thinking, how can you get this living water? You don't have anything to draw with. So he says again, Jesus answered her, "Everyone who drinks this water will be thirsty again. Whoever drinks the water I give them will never thirst. Indeed, the water I give them will become in them a spring of water welling up to eternal life." The woman said to him, "Sir, give me this water so I don't have to be thirsty and have to come back here to draw more." Jesus is essentially using the same analogy that I used with my dad's car, with this woman. He's telling this woman, hey, you can continue to thirst after different things. The world offers lots of options. And you'll maybe good things, but it'll never satisfy the thirst that you have. But the water I give you will be a well of water springing up. It'll satisfy, it'll last. It'll give fullness, it'll be living water. It'll be continually flowing. He's giving her that analogy. Then it said, then he says, wait for it. Go and call your husband and come back, because she said, sir, give me this water so I don't have to get thirsty and have to come back. He said, go call your husband and come back. And she says to him, but I have no husband. Thinking that would end the conversation. Jesus said to her, you're right when you say you have no husband. The fact is, you've had 5 husbands. And the man you're living with now is not even your husband. What you've said is quite true. And again, when we hear that, at first it sounds kind of harsh. But I think he is trying to tell her, I know everything about you. And it doesn't have anything to do with me wanting both to connect to you and to offer you what you want. In this case, the woman was thinking that relationships were going to be that fuel that runs her life. She'd been through 5 marriages, now she's given up on that idea altogether. I just got to have a relationship that works. And she's continually thirsting after relationships. That is the picture I want to leave you, both the car and the thirst. Jesus is saying, I'm the fuel that runs your car. I'm the one that can make everything that you want to be reality, if you trust that. Question is, what are you going to put in your tank this year? What are you depending on to make your life rich, full, have the things that you want? I want to have one more story, and that's our friend Jake, who is a sophomore this year.
Yeah, Jake! I know that guy!
Jake's story, his first semester at WSU last year, a year ago today, or this week, a lot like my story, but I thought you'd rather hear from somebody in your world now. I was a cougar, by the way. Thank you very much. I am a cougar. That's right. Jake, share your story with me.
I don't need that.
No, you don't.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
I figured. I'm not ever been a quiet person. I've never been called out in my life. So like I said, my name is Jake Ehrlich. I am from Snoqualmie, Washington, which is about 30 minutes outside of Seattle. And yeah, I get to kind of share a little bit of my story with y'all tonight. So growing up, I have a little sister who's a senior in high school this year, and then 2 parents who are still together to this day, still live in Snoqualmie. We were a Lutheran family growing up. I grew up in the church. I went to youth groups. I went to Sunday school, all that sorts of stuff. And so growing up, I was here the church goes. We would be there every Sunday unless you had something happening or whatever. And nothing really ever hit home with me. I was just kind of like going through the motions. I felt like nothing was connecting. And so I would go and I'd not pay attention during the sermons or anything like that. And then halfway or in between 6th and 7th grade year, that summer is when I had my first Young Life experience. So my mom came into my room one day and said, hey, do you want to go to this summer camp with a bunch of kids you don't know? And I was like, no. Well, and then she showed me the video for Washington Family Ranch Creekside. Who's been to Creekside here? That's where Getaway's at. Quick plug, go to Getaway. Showed me the video for that and I was like all in. People that have been there, you know why. I'm all in. So I went down, hopped in a bus about 2 weeks later with a bunch of people that I did not know very well. This guy introduced himself to me in the parking lot. Hey, I'm Andrew, I'm the leader for the week. Never met this guy in my life. I'm like, who are you? What are you doing here? I went down and that week kind of changed my life. It wasn't something specific that changed my life. But if you've ever been to a Young Life camp, they call it the best week of your life, and it was that to me. The work crew, the summer staff, all the people working down there, the speaker, the message, the people serving food and spending 4 weeks out of their summer down there volunteering. Everything's just really amazing and fantastic when you're down at the Young Life camp. And so when I came back, I was changed from that week. I was diving in. I was reading the Bible. I was paying attention during sermons. I was listening to worship music and understanding what those lyrics meant. That week was definitely pretty incredible for me. After that, kind of got straight plugged in with Young Life, so that was 7th grade year, and followed that all the way through high school. High school for me was pretty easy. I was super involved with a lot of different things. Young Life being one of them. I was a leader for wildlife. I was an attendee of Young Life Club. I was involved with student government and a bunch of other things. And I wasn't much of a partier in high school or anything like that until about the last last half of senior year, that scene started coming in the picture. And I knew I was going to Washington State. I was like, oh, I want to get involved with everything. I want to check out Young Life. I want to find a church home. I want to check out WSU and a bunch of other stuff. And one of the things was a fraternity. And my dad was like, Jake, that's great. You've been involved with so many different things. Go and do all that. Just do me a favor, don't be all about the house, because I had summer signed with the house. And that's kind of what I ended up doing. I filled my tank with partying, and more partying. That's pretty much what happened the first month of school. I thought I was going to get better reaction on that. That's cool. Yeah, so the first month of school was pretty much a blur for me, not gonna lie. It was like 5 out of 7 nights a week. I drink a little too much juice, if you want to put it that way, or whatever you want to say. And so about a month in, a couple things happened, and I'm no longer with that house, and that's another separate story. You can come up and ask me about that later if you want. But that really sucked, because I had a bunch of high school buddies here, but they weren't a very good support system, and so I was pretty lonely. And this was about a month into school last year. And so that happened, and I was just kind of bummed out. I was going to class, sort of, probably skipping most classes, and didn't really hang out with like many people on the weekends and that sort of thing. And if you can't tell, I was kind of a social butterfly in high school, so that really sucked for me. And then about a month or a couple weeks down the road, my mom texted me, and she was super worried about me. Said, hey, and she went here as well. A sorority sister of mine's got a friend who's super involved with Young Life. You want her to reach out, or him to reach out. And the next day, Cody Walton sent me a text over there. That guy who just shaved his mullet, don't know why, he kept it. He texted me the next day. The following week, I went to his small group with Noah and Brighton as the leaders, Cody, Noah, and Brighton. And from there, it just kind of flourished again. Started getting involved. I had the chance to have coffee with Gary a couple months down the road, and just got really plugged in with this amazing community here. And then the semesters turned, and we came back to school in January, and Noah and I were talking about summer staff. Who's here? Who's heard of summer staff here? Woo! So summer staff and work crew is when you get to go spend a month at one of the Young Life camps volunteering, doing different roles. And somehow, magically, Gary got me placed on his team with 6 other Wazoo people, and then a bunch of people from around the country and world, I don't know. And yeah, maybe. And it was, so in June this year, if you've been up to Malibu, or if you've heard of it, that's where I spent my entire June. And it was one of the best months of my life, like no doubt. I know that sounds cliche, but it was. And now it's pretty cool to say that I definitely feel like I'm closer to the Lord than I've ever been. Now, has it been perfect since all that happened? No way, because a relationship with the Lord is definitely a roller coaster ride. Most of us probably know that. But that's pretty much where I'm at now. Upped up and went to 101 last semester, and that's how I got to join the college team here. And now I'm just super stoked for this upcoming year. And basically, that is it. I was going to say something else.
Woo!
I guess all of that to say, I'd love to extend an invitation to you all to say, check it out. See if what this guy Jesus is saying is not true. If your tank isn't designed to run on relationship with him. Join a small group, get together, figure out life together. I guarantee you'll have friends for life, and I'll just guarantee you, if you take that direction, you will discover what you're really meant to be and discover what life can be with you. Jesus also said, I came that you might have life to the full. Jesus, in no way, I don't know where we ever get the idea that Jesus wants to somehow cramp our style, limit what we can do. He wants to set us free to do everything we're supposed to be, and all that. So, let me pray for...
2 quick plugs. Yeah, I don't know what I'm saying plug. Like you just mentioned, small groups, it's not a Bible study. It's not a sit down and read the Bible for an hour and a half. Don't think of it as that. It's a bunch of dudes getting together, a bunch of gals getting together, doing a whole lot more than meeting once a week. It was my anchor last year. It was a bunch of great dudes. They're some of my best friends to this day now. So do that. Sign up for over there, like you said. Second off, once again, go to Getaway. You will have an amazing time. It is an amazing place and an encouraging.
Good job. Thank you.
Yeah, Jake. All right.
Pray for us and I'll pray for Jason at the same time. Father, thanks for this group. Thanks that brought people together. I do pray that this would be a group of people that wants to figure out and live life together and grow together and get the most out of what this next 3, 4, 5, 6 years mean for this crowd. Thanks for Jake. Thanks for